If you are training every week but not losing belly fat, you're probably wasting your time if your diet keeps falling apart. I've seen this pattern over and over for men who are juggling many responsibilities, leading projects or teams or businesses, and are just stuck losing and gaining the same fat for years on end. So I'll show you what's actually holding you back so you can get lean with less time in the gym. The first thing most men do when they decide to finally get back in shape is head straight to the gym, rejoining a gym or dusting off the home setup. And this can feel productive because you're finally doing something about it. So the logic follows. More days, more effort will get you more results. But many guys I've coached came to me when they were already training 4, 5, even 6 days a week because they still weren't able to get under 20% body fat or hold it for very long. They were sick of looking in the mirror after months of grinding and feeling like they've got nothing to show for it. And nobody else noticed either. There's only so much energy you can burn lifting weights. A gym workout may burn 150 to 300 calories if you're lucky. That's like one slice of toast with some peanut butter on it. It's barely a dent in the deficit for a week. So training is your key to build strength and muscle, but it is not your main driver of losing fat. And it's often the guys who train the most, ironically, struggle the most to lose fat. And I'll tell you why so you can avoid this. When I did my first proper cut, I was training 5, 6 days a week sometimes, which could be even 2-hour sessions, 2.5 hours. That was the most I'd ever trained and the most consistent I'd ever been. So I was convinced that this was going to work because I was putting so much into it. What I didn't realize back then was that all the extra training was quietly, well, not obviously making me hungry as fuck. I was eating what anyone would call clean, chicken, tuna, eggs, salad, but I kept undoing my deficit just because I was too hungry. And I was also under recovered, staying up late, scrolling on my phone, and then getting up early for work. I learned the hard way that pushing training without proper recovery and refueling, then the body just starts to fight back harder to replace that energy. And it doesn't like being in a deficit. And if you're already working 40 to 50 hours a week, plus you're doing meetings and running sessions and kids and drop-offs and pickups and all that, jamming more workouts might feel productive because you're earning this extra result, but that's not how it works unless your diet is actually dialed in. It's like a blocked pipe. You can jam more pressure, more water in, but nothing's going to flow until you clear that blockage. And this is why when the hunger is already jacked up, then, a deadline hits or a family emergency or someone gets sick and things just go pear-shaped. Stress eating creeps in and wipes out your entire week. And if that sounds familiar, stress eating, undoing your weeks, feeling like you're doing everything and still stuck, that is usually a sign that your plan was never actually built to survive your real life. And that is exactly what I fix with the men who I work with one-on-one. The link is in the description to learn more about the program. And so the fix wasn't more training. It was actually flipping where 80% of your focus actually needs to go. And this approach works best for guys who don't want to make their whole life revolving around the gym and meal prepping and treating this like a full-time job, because it's not. So what I learned is that this split isn't about where your effort goes. The 20% of your focus goes to training, and you basically automate that by following a progressive, structured workout program. The other 80% of your focus goes to your diet because you're eating multiple times every day and you're navigating life around those meals. But here's the catch that most people won't tell you. Some people think this means that one matters more than the other. But the reality is both actually require a 100% effort in their own domain, not a 50-50. Otherwise, you won't see results. Training maybe 3 hours out of a 168-hour week, that's under 2% of your week. That is a solid return on your investment. And once you stop cutting corners on your diet and your training, the results will come naturally. But most guys never make that shift. And what happens next explains why so many of them say the exact same thing. I've done this before, but I always end up back where I started. So here's the actual cycle that many guys are still stuck in today. They go too hard on training, be it 4, 5, 6 days a week, sometimes cardio on top of that, while also going far too strict on their diet all at once. And it might last 3 to 4 weeks. Then life happens, an event pops up, Friday night at the bar, Saturday night hits, date night, and the plan falls off the wagon. And immediately feels like you failed and motivation has gone out the window. Then you wake up, you check the scale and you think, fuck, I've blown it all. And for a lot of guys, that is actually where the decline starts. They stop tracking their weight, their food, their training, gets missed, and they're never fully back on the horse again. So it's all downhill from that point. But it doesn't have to be that way. If training is just enough to progress 2 to 3 sessions a week, and your diet is in a moderate, say 500 calorie deficit, nothing extreme, none of that needs to feel overwhelming for a man who's juggling his career and a family. And you can still navigate life with some flexibility, right? So the question isn't whether this is possible for you. It's knowing exactly how much is enough for your training and your diet. And getting that wrong in either direction is what keeps guys stuck. But there's a simpler way to make this work. So here is what that actually looks like day to day. So you log every workout that you do in the week, and you make sure that something is always progressing, whether it's your reps, your weight, or your sets. Don't change every exercise too often. It doesn't matter which you're doing to progress, but just keep it simple. And then with food, track it properly, the same way you track your finances. Otherwise, you're just going to be guessing and stuck on some rigid food list that's super restricted, that's going to fall apart the second life gets busy or some event's on. Even the free version of MyFitnessPal works fine, or if you're eating out and you don't know how to log it, just tell AI what you ate accurately and ask it for a realistic calorie and macro breakdown. Don't add more layers until you've actually mastered those simple things. And then you can stop dreading Mondays like there's some kind of reset button, because there's nothing to reset. The reality is, if you don't fix this now, you're not just going to be staying the same. You're going to be having the exact same conversation with yourself in a year from now, 3, 5 years, except you're going to be closer to 40, closer to 50, more tired, and still wondering if this is just how your body's going to be now for the rest of your life. And you don't need another extreme approach. You need a system that is built around your actual life, not a fantasy version of it, where nothing ever gets in the way and everything goes perfect every day. And if you're tired of doing this the hard way, swinging between all in and all out, giving it a good crack, but still getting stuck or sick, rebounding, well, that's what we fix in my method. You get a system built around your actual schedule, travel, work, not a life that you have to escape from just to lose belly fat, right? And the system that gets you to 15% body fat or below is the one that'll keep you there too. But this isn't another quick fix, temporary challenge, or copy-pasted meal plan. It's for guys who are done experimenting and actually want this solved properly, once and for all. And if that's you, the link's in the description below to learn more. Then go watch this video next to see the brutally honest timeline to lose belly fat.